Monster Itch, Ghost Attack by David Lubar. Chapter 6. The horses blocked us from our bikes. The men, who wore handkerchiefs tied around their mouths to hide their faces, dismounted and charged into the bank. This way. I grabbed Sarah's hand and ran in the other direction, away from the bank, toward an alley. We could hide there until the police came. "Wait," Sarah said. She tugged at my hand, pulling me to a stop. "Are you out of your mind?" I asked, tugging back. "There's a robbery." "They don't seem to be concerned," she said, tugging hard enough to make me decide to stop tugging. She pointed across the street, where 2 policemen were standing by their patrol car, watching the robbers. Now I was totally confused. "I think this is a part of the celebration for Thistle days," Sarah said. I really hoped she was right, because that meant we weren't in danger. But I also hoped she was wrong, because that would mean I hadn't been completely panicking about nothing. Another half-dozen men, dressed as an old-time Western sheriff and his deputies, ran toward the bank. I noticed there were a lot of people right down the street from us, watching everything. "I think you're right," I said to Sarah. "This is a historical reenactment." My parents had taken me to see a group of people reenact a Civil War battle last summer. This was a smaller group of reenactors, but I was a lot closer to the action. A few minutes later, the lawmen came back out of the bank. They were leading the bad guys, who all had their hands tied. The spectators whooped and cheered as the bad guys were marched down the street, but the crowd didn't follow the lawmen. They stayed where they were and watched the bank, as if they knew something else was about to happen. And then someone different came out of the bank. It was a man, tall and thin, wearing a visor and old-fashioned clothes, including a vest. He had a sack in his hands like the kind banks used for cash in movies and cartoons. He crouched, looked both ways, then slinked down the street. "That looks like him," I said. "Our ghost." The crowd booed him. He picked up speed and ran right past us, letting out an evil crackle. "He's a bank robber," Sarah said. "We're being haunted by a thief," I said, "and he wants us to help him. If he was a bad person before he became a ghost, what would he do to us if we didn't help him?" "Now what?" Sarah asked. "Ice cream," I said. "Of course," she said, "but after that, what do we do?" "I have no idea," I said. We went to the shop and ordered our ice cream. It was hard to choose. The flavors were amazing. I had 1 scoop of banana peanut butter swirl and 1 of triple chocolate fudge with nuts, pretzel nuggets, and toffee crunch. Sarah had a scoop of kiwi mango with cinnamon sugar and a scoop of something called sweet tea surprise. She said it was great. I took her word for it. The tables at the ice cream parlor had flyers on them that looked like old-time newspapers, telling all sorts of stories about Thistle's Falls in honor of Thistle days. I found one with a picture of our ghost and the story of the bank robbery. Joshua Thistle, son of town founder Ishmael Thistle, was a sickly child, prone to nightmares and fevers, I said, reading the first sentence to Sarah. "The message," said Sarah. "It's not about the town, it's about a person." "That makes sense," I said. "I thought the town was named after the thistle plant," she said. "Me too," I said. I read the rest of the story out loud. It was written in an old-fashioned language, but I understood the basic idea. Joshua Thistle was terrified of many things, including thunder and the outdoors. He'd even flee a room if someone let out a loud, shrill scream. But he was good with numbers and took a job with the bank. During the robbery, he disappeared with the money from the safe, right before the storm of the century struck the town. "That explains the visor," Sarah said, after I'd finished reading. "People who worked with their eyes a lot used to wear them. He was probably staring at numbers all day." "And plotting crimes," I said. I turned my attention back to my ice cream. All too soon, it was finished. We left the shop and got back on our bikes. "I'm not helping him," I said, as we pedaled to the farmhouse. "He robbed a bank." "We don't know that," Sarah said. "What are you talking about?" I asked. You saw the reenactment? Just because you see something in a play doesn't mean it's true, she said. There's lots of plays where they change the facts to make the story more interesting. Besides, you have to prove someone is guilty. That's one of the most important things about the law. We learned that in school. Innocent until proven guilty, I said. Yeah, I remember. Our teacher had also taught us the word presume. It means the same as assume. So I'm not sure why they need two different words, but basically everyone is presumed to be innocent. We can't presume anything, Sarah said. We have to find out the truth. I wasn't sure about that. The people in town seemed pretty certain that Joshua Thistle was a robber. We'll do more research tomorrow, I said. I figured the guy at the Historical Society would be happy to see us again, and we'd be happy to see the ice cream shop again. There were plenty more flavors I needed to try, though none of them involved tea. When we got to the house, Gramps was waiting for us on the porch. As soon as we reached him, he said, I presume you have a good explanation for what you did. He didn't look happy, and I had no idea what he was talking about.